right. Yeah.
Karen, your screen's a little fuzzy this morning.
Again?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's. Let me see.
Says Karen Sebdy's network bandwidth is low. It's telling the whole group that.
Yeah. That would not surprise me. Okay. Okay. Any better?
Still pretty fuzzy.
Probably. Oh, darn internet.
That's okay.
Karen, do you want to email it to Jean Cressy and I'll pull it up?
It was pretty big. It was a huge file.
It's big because we have a video.
Oh,
there's
never
an
mind.
embedded video. Yeah.
I think it's operator error.
Should I be excused now?
No, you'll never cannot be excused. Well, we'll go ahead and let's see.
It
looks
started.
like your screen. Yeah, here we go. Fuzzy or not, we're going to get rolling. So, welcome everyone to the March 22nd, 2021 meeting of the Rotary Club of Ames. As always, we'll start our meeting with a virtual Pledge of Allegiance. So if you are able and willing, please us in our Pledge of Allegiance and maybe a fuzzy flag or no flag. There we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Awesome. Today, I'm not aware specifically of any club members who may need an extra thought or prayer. We do, however, have some community members that certainly could use some power, and that is our Cyclone women's basketball team, which will be tipping off, I believe, at 5 p.m. Central Time today in San Antonio, and we'll look to defeat the Michigan State Lady Spartans. So send your powerful, positive vibes to Bill Fenley and the entire ISU women's basketball team. We also offer our thoughts out to our now former basketball coach, Steve Prohm, and his family, but also in welcoming our new men's basketball coach, TJ Otzelberger. So transitions are always challenging for all those involved, and we just offer our thoughts and prayers out to them. Is there anyone else in our family that you're aware of that may need an extra thought? All right, well, let's just take a moment and send some good vibes out to the women's basketball program. Thank you. And today we have our own music committee member, Louie, that's going to unmute and welcome our members and guests.
I would be happy to, and it's nice to see you all here today. Welcome to you from Ames Rotary, Nevada, London, or Gay Prairie, from far off lands or the USA. We're glad that you are here today. Come back again whenever you're near. Join us and then we'll make it clear. Around the world you will always be welcome at Rotary.
Thank you, Louie. We also have in our set of announcements today, we had a surprise video greeting, but I'm not sure that that's going to come through very well with Karen's internet sharing. Let's see. Let's give it a shot. Here we go.
Good morning, Rotarians. This is Paul Lassley, in case you have forgotten my face or my voice. But today, I want to remind you that you've had a year of reprieve from the brag bucket.
Come on. Come on.
And so now it's time for you to make a one-time contribution to the Rotary Scholarship Program. Since I have been accused of dereliction of duty, your contribution will help clear my name as well as help Rotary Club provide meaningful scholarships to deserving students. I would like each Rotarian to dig deep into your wallets, your purses, your bank accounts, or your cookie jars and make a contribution to helping our students and
Whoop.
Good morning, Rotarians.
Oh.
This is Paul Lassley,
Oh.
in case you have forgotten.
We'll
Good.
just go by it. How about that?
Yeah, there we go. That was
All
great.
right.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing, Paul, on the heels of our call out to our Rotary Club members to make sure we hold our scholarships near and dear to our hearts and continue to fund those financially. So thank you, Paul, and thank you, Maynard, for challenging Paul there that got him back out and to give us that message. So thank you. World Water Day, as you can see, World Water Day. So looks like I can't read that very well, but just keep that in mind. There
You
are
want me
people
to read
who
it?
in this, yeah, sure. Go for it.
Okay, the COVID-19 pandemic has made it clearer than ever that hand washing, which requires a safe water source, is essential to our health. Yet more than 2 billion people worldwide do not have access to clean water. Since 2014, the Rotary Foundation has invested more than $51 million in global grants to enable clubs to carry out projects that help people around the world with clean water, sanitation, and hygiene. Similar to our global grants, the 4 previous ones, which were over $1 million of that $51 million.
Awesome. Great reminder there. Thank you. And
Do you want me to talk about Monday?
yeah, let's go ahead and talk about Monday, Karen.
Monday, March 29th, next week, Tammy Kuhlbeck has invited us to meet in person at Stevens, CY Stevens for the preview of series at Stevens 21-22. This is a brown bag event. Beverages will be provided. There will be more information later in the week where we're going to meet, but we are planning still to have it recorded. We're either going to have a Zoom in or it will be recorded and posted under our YouTube channel.
Thank you, Karen. And Tammy, if you would mind, Tammy Colbeck, if you would mind unmuting and just filling in a little bit more details around next week's meeting.
Yes, thanks everybody. We're excited to see those of you who are interested in meeting face to face. I just wanted to let you know that we will require masks to be worn until you sit down at your table to eat and drink. So just make sure you bring your Rotary face masks to wear. We're going to have everybody enter through the southwest tower door. And that is the door that faces Beach Avenue on the south side of the building. So you'll be parking in lot F, or you can park in lot A1. Lot F is the one that sits next to the building on the west side, and lot A1 sits to the south. But you'll bypass the stage door and come in through the southwest tower door. Anybody with mobility concerns that doesn't really want to walk that far, you can park along the curb. They're near the southwest tower door. There's probably room for 6 or 7 cars there. And I think that's about it. Doors will open at 11:30 a.m. So don't come any sooner than 11:30. And we're really looking forward to seeing everybody. I'll send all that to Karen, so she'll send out a reminder too this week to everyone, but that's kind of the highlights.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Karen. A couple of announcements that have come through. I did not get these in time for our earlier discussion, but it looks like Julie Huseman unfortunately broke her hip last week. So we could continue to wish her a speedy recovery and wish her well, send her some well wishes. And Karen had mentioned this as well, and then Randy Peters followed up, and I forgot to mention it. I apologize. But Bob Bishop, who has been our Gateway Banquet manager, lost his brother Phil on Sunday. And unfortunately, this is Bob's second loss here in a pretty short order because he lost his mother. So his mother and his brother in a pretty short order there. So let's lift up Bob and send some extra prayers and thoughts his way as well. A couple of other announcements. Last week, there were no new wild cases of polio, so that's exciting. It's good. We need to string a lot of those weeks together. Also, just reminders of the upcoming virtual district training assembly, which is this Saturday. It would be great for incoming board members, existing board members, committee chair people, officers, etc., to be a part of that training assembly. Just go to the District 6000 website. Rotary District 6000 website, and you'd see how to sign up for that. And then also the upcoming district conference as well, which will be held April 24th, partially in person, partially virtual option. So District 6000 website for that as well. And then, hey, Deborah Johnson brought up, she actually received her copy of the April edition of the Rotary magazine over the weekend, and she highlighted that our own Sarah Buck is in the magazine with a letter to the editor. And so she's actually copied and pasted Sarah's comments in there. So I'm going to read those to you. Sarah says, after reading a few issues of the reimagined Rotary magazine, I feel compelled to thank you for the changes you have made. It appears the entire editorial staff remains in place, so the improvements have been accomplished by the same people who were responsible for the Rotarian. That's impressive. The content in Rotary magazine is much more compelling than in the predecessor publication. It challenges us all to be the Rotarians that we should be. It takes on the uncomfortable and difficult challenges we face in our world. It elevates the image of Rotary, and perhaps will have a positive impact on member recruitment and retention. Congratulations on a successful transformation, and thank you. So thank you, Sarah Buck, for representing Rotary Club of Ames and sending that wonderful message out there. So be looking for that in your April edition of Rotary Magazine. That was, I think, all the announcements that we had for this week. We're excited today about our program and our speaker. And I think Liz is with us. to introduce our speaker today. Are you with us, Liz?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So today I would like to introduce Jonathan Buffalo, who is the director of the Historic Preservation Department for the Meskwaki Nation, which is located in central Iowa. And I think we don't know enough about the Meskwaki Nation. And so I'm hoping Jonathan can give us a really insightful understanding of the tribes that are in the nation and the nation itself and what it's doing. And one of the things I asked Jonathan about was the impact of the derecho on the native lands. So Jonathan, if you would please start off, that would be great.
Good morning, class, or good afternoon. Well, we're called the Meskwaki Indians. Our government name is Sac and Fox Tribe of the Mississippi in Iowa, but our traditional name is Meskwaki. From two words, Meshk is red, or depends on how you use it, blood. Ak is earth. So when you say Meskwaki, red earth, and that ki makes it people. And when you say Meskwaki hug, according to our tradition of our own creation, when our creator said Meskwaki hug, that hug at the end brought these people to life that he made out of red clay. And that birthplace is along the St. Lawrence River. And we were contemporaries of mastodons, saber-tooth tigers. So we've been on this continent for thousands of years. This is if you look at the East Coast to Iowa, to the border of Kentucky, that's our bioregion. We have lived in this environment for thousands of years, and we have seen it change. We have seen climate change many times. And this next one that's coming, it's real and it's coming, and we hope we can survive it again, you know. So, and we're woodland Indians. We are not desert Indians. We like this environment of four seasons: winter, spring, summer, and fall. Our environment needs this real bitter cold for our environment to survive. And with that, if our environment survives, technology, people, governments can change as long as we know how to plant our crops and survive. And we, thousands of years ago, we started migrating down to first Massachusetts. Then we went to New York on the Niagara Falls. Then we moved down to Ohio. And then we went up north to Saginaw Bay, Detroit area. And with us have always been the Sauk tribe. We have moved together in the same route. Where you found the Fox or Meskwakis, you found the Sauk tribe nearby. And Michigan is our before east of Michigan is our prehistory. That took thousands of years. Going west is our, what would we call modern history, contact history with the French, English, Spanish. And because the French and the English were pushing tribes west, those tribes pushed us into Wisconsin. And in 1666, the French, we met the French at the Wolf River in Wisconsin. And we have a very dim memory of meeting Vikings when we were out on the St. Lawrence River Valley. Deep, real dim memories. So when we heard from other tribes of these people with beards that had metal objects, swords, knives, we mistook them for Vikings. So until we found out they were different people, they were French. And the French didn't like us, and we didn't like the French. So by 1700, we had a war with the French called the Fox Wars in history. And we were about 40,000 people at the beginning of the war. And by the end of the war in 1735, we were about maybe less than 1,000. So that's when we came down to Mississippi into Iowa in 1735. And but we always think we won the war because you're talking to a Meskwaki today, and in France there are no kings or queens or princesses. They're all gone. So we won the war, we think. And so we come into Iowa and we meet the Sioux tribes, and we basically chase them off. And eventually, the French and Indian wars fought, and the French leave, and the British come into the area. They occupy British forts, and we have a better relationship with the British. And other tribes tended to hate the British. And but we still think highly of the British. And we kind of hope they never left, but they did, and that's history. And so the British are here, and we kind of recover from the wars. We Our population grows a little bit, and we take over half of Missouri up to the Missouri River in Missouri, and then we cross the river into Illinois and take their land up to the Illinois River. So that was our all of Iowa, half of Missouri, half of Illinois was our lands. But then the Revolutionary War is fought, and a new people are born called Americans. And Americans, our Indian word for Americans is Getchimukuman, which means lawn knife. So when we say Mukuman, we're not saying white people, you know, we're saying Americans, lawn knife, the lawn knives. So they start coming into the area, and we start making treaties with them. And eventually, Central Iowa is the last lands we cede in 1842. And through the treaty, we're supposed to remove in 1845. And in October of 45, we start our journey to Kansas, to the Kansas reservation. But some tribes doubled back and went into hiding, and some people made it to Kansas. And the following year, the state of Iowa is born. The territory is made into a state in 46. And new people come in, we meet new people because before we knew the French and we called the French Maman de Gaucher, wooden canoe people. And the English, Saganash, the Spanish, Mexican, Mexico, and the Americans. And then we meet new people like Norwegians, Swedes, Danes, and English as Iowa is settled by these groups. But I bet most of you are German descent, and we meet Germans. So at the first, from 46 to 52, the US Army would come into Iowa, gather all the Meskwaki bands they could find, and send them back to Kansas. By 1852, Iowa citizens start having petitions to have us remain in Iowa, like Marion, towns like that, because we knew these people. When these people came, they didn't know how to survive Iowa winters, but we did. So they learned a lot from us, and so they signed petitions. And in 56, Iowa allowed us to remain in Iowa. And the following year, we purchased our first 80 acres in Tama County. And today we have over 8,000. So that was our beginning of our existence on the settlement here in Tama County, just east of you, 45-minute drive to Ames. If we want to go have a supper, we hop in and go to Ames. And that's how close Ames is. And so by between 57 and 67, more people came back from Kansas until the second fox removed to Oklahoma, and some Meskwakis chose to go to Oklahoma, and some chose to come back to Iowa. And we're that population that remained and came back from Iowa that have been here for the past more than 100 years now. And as a people, we change. We have adapted, and we've had to adjust. I'm talking to you in English. You're not talking to me in Meskwaki. But in another sense, we're still those Meskwakis that were created along the St. Lawrence River. We're that close to our creation, and we still do things in a very traditional way. We're just finishing our maple camps right now because people are boiling down the sap right now and things like that. And we do change. My wife and I work here. I work at the museum, and my wife works up there at the tribal court. Takes us 5 minutes to come to work. We don't we don't ride down our horses. We don't walk. We drive a car. We're at work in 5 minutes. So I can go on talking. So if there's any questions, I can answer. Are you preserving your language? Yes, we are. Our language is considered in danger. There's different degrees of language. Our language is in danger. It's always in danger. And it's always, people forget that it's always dangerous to be an Indian in America. It's always dangerous. Every time we leave the settlement, it's dangerous. So our language is dangerous because of modern life, TV. Our kids were fighting for our kids, and we're fighting TV shows, music, you know. So it's a constant battle to keep your language, but we're still holding on. I forgot to mention, you know, before Europeans came, after Columbus came in 1742, it's 100 years before actual invasion begins of Europeans. And within that 100 years, 98% of the human population died from disease. And 100 years later, Europeans start coming and they see how many crop acres are you in Meskwaki lands? Well, we do uh, gardens, huge gardens. We plant corn, squash, and beans, and but not the type of corn you see on the road. This is our own Indian corn. It's called Tama Flint. We've had it for at least 3,000 years, you know, because you got to remember, when we were first made, we were big game hunters. We hunted mastodon. And that as that big game disappeared, we had to find new ways to survive. So, any other questions? Or any
Jonathan, thank you. If there's other questions, I'll try to keep my eyes open and help you see them. There's one, COVID-19 virus. Yep.
Well, we, as a tribe, like I said, the first disease we had was that pre-contact disease. And in history, it's called the Great Dying, where 98% of the human population died. It's called a near human extinction event. That's the first one. But then after that, we had smallpox epidemics. We had all kinds of different diseases run through us for the next 500 years. So we were used to disease. So when we started hearing about this new disease in China, and I'm not calling it a Chinese virus. The 1918 epidemic came from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So that should be called the Iowa epidemic. And anyway, when news started coming up, by January, my wife and I said, should we start getting ready? So she started getting food. We started hoarding, not hoarding, but gathering food. And one time she was at the cashier. And around here, cashiers are used to us buying a lot of food because they know our religious feast cycle, where we buy a lot of food for our feasts. So they know that. But this one was out of season. So the cashier asked my wife, should I be worried? And my wife said, no, we just have a big family. So that's how, and we were prepared for it. And we were one of the first group that closed up. Did we have interaction with Lewis and Clark? No, they didn't see us. They saw signs of us along the Missouri River. They saw our war trails when we would go attack the Osage Indians. The only festival that's open with us is our annual powwow held in August. And that's open to the public. And We've done that since 1913.
Jonathan, there's some questions that went through here. I'm going to read a couple to you. How did you get along with the British?
The
Jim
British,
says they were terror. Yeah.
we got along well with the British. And like I said, we still think highly of the British. And we have a lot of British friends. One of them, one English friend that pops up every few years, every time he comes here, he says, well, how are the colonials doing? And we say, well, the colonials are doing good. Do you want them back? You can have them back. And so he just laughs and he says, no, we don't want them back. So, and like when I was in college at Iowa, I went to school at Iowa. So no Iowa bashing. And I had a Union Jack behind my bed. And I lived with a guy from Kuwait and a guy from Iran. And one time, the guy from Kuwait, asked me to take the British flag down because he said, you know, they might have been good to your people, but they weren't good to mine. And it hurts me every time I walk in, I see this Union Jack. So I took it down because he was my friend. So.
Do you still have an elk herd?
No, we have a buffalo herd for the past 15 years, I think. We got the original herd from Neil Smith. So, and we've been adding them, you know, so they're doing good. And we don't treat them like pets.
There's a question from Liz Beck about Des Moines Register picture of Susan buffalo. In your corn gardens, trying to salvage the corn. What is the situation today?
Oh, our corn is pretty good. It's been for the past 10 years, our corn has been telling us something that is changing because this climate change, you know, it's the animals and the plants are slowly adapting and changing. They'll do fine without any change there that comes. And our corn has been telling us to plant it out of season a little bit later, you know, so our planting season has gradually been moving forward.
What are the main sources of income for the Meskwaki community?
Well, tribal government is huge, but the casino is the largest employer in Tama County. But some people have outside jobs because they want their income to be independent from the tribal source. Like my son is a iron worker, but my other son works at the casino, you know, so, and of course I work for the tribe, you know, so, but some people would rather have work outside the tribe.
You see the question from Tom Walsh. He said in 1979, he student taught at the Sac and Fox Day School on the settlement with Carol Potak as the grades 3 and 4 teacher in the 3-room wooden schoolhouse. A new school was built on the settlement run by the tribal council and no longer the BIA. What is education like on the settlement today?
We have it's called the settlement school. It's one building and it houses pre-kindergarten to high school, 12th grade. And our school has passed the No Child Left Behind law every year. And to graduate, you need a higher credit system than our local district, South Tama. So it's but it's an Indian school, and it teaches regular stuff, plus our language and our history and culture. And our kids are basically taking archaeological, anthropological classes that you only get when you go to college. Like the simple system of language groups, you know, things like that. So it's a very good school.
If a foundation wanted to make contact with Meskwaki, who and how would they make culturally appropriate contact?
You would call the tribal office and you would call the executive director.
Okay,
He's
tribal office and the
Yeah.
executive director.
Yeah, he's like the executive director runs tribal. He doesn't run tribal government, but he does run the tribal organization. And then he would report to the government, which is the tribal council.
And then Liz Beck asks, are there festivals that are open to the public that we can attend? There used to be a powwow that was held in the Memorial Union on campus. Anywhere we could attend one this year?
Well, we didn't have the powwow last year because of coronavirus. So we're kind of watching the news, see how it's going, see if another wave will come. And we might have a powwow this year. It all depends on May, because by May we should learn if a third wave is coming.
Teresa Cooper asks, what name do you prefer to be used when address members of the settlement? Indians, First Nations, Indigenous? What would be the preferred way to address members of the settlement?
Well, the preferred way is to call us Meskwakis. It's just like talking to a European. At first, you call them Europeans until you find out the guy's French. So here's Pierre, my French friend. Here's my German friend, my Greek friend. It's just like saying it's all right to use Native American, Indigenous, Native, as before you know what tribe it is. Personally, I don't mind Indians myself. It's what's known, it's what's been used. So I'm not against any other word. But then people generally use Indigenous.
Is there a dictionary of the Meskwaki language?
There's actually two. There's one around here somewhere. There's two, and the Smithsonian, Ives Goddard. If you just type in Ives Goddard on the internet, his work will pop up. He's a linguist from the Smithsonian.
And are there good books that you could recommend on Meskwaki history that we could read?
Well, there's the primer. I think the primer is by William Hagen, and it's called The Sac and Fox Indians. You should read that for basic. But when you get down to Meskwaki, there's The Fox Wars by David Edmonds, and Judy Daubenmeier has a book out, and Doug Foley. And there's other books, but you see, us Meskwakis, we're not very well known in popular culture. Hollywood doesn't come to us to make movies about us. Where you find us most is in academia. Your university library has a lot of stuff. So in academia is we're the most written about in academia because people have studied our language, our customs, our history, but not in popular culture.
Liz says, another question here from Louis. What is the status of women in the tribal organization?
Well, the status of women, there's a traditional status and then there's the governmental status. And the governmental status is only as old as 1937 when the Constitution was made, our tribal Constitution. But, excuse me, hello? Excuse me, I'm in a Zoom meeting right now. Can you call me back this afternoon? Maybe 3. Okay, thank you. Sorry. What was the question?
I was about your status of women, the governmental status. Yeah.
The status of traditionally women were highly, they had political power, maybe not in the council, but they had a lot of their, when we voted whenever we voted for any issue, the women had a right to vote. Maybe not on paper, not a paper ballot, but yes or no vote. And the government tried to get us a constitution. But the first constitutions they showed us was the women couldn't vote. So we refused them. But in 37, we adopted a constitution and women can be on the council. And we have 2 women on the council today. So I hope that answered the question. It's a very complicated issue.
Let's see. What is the status of the American Indian movement in your tribe's most urgent political engagement area?
Repeat that again?
Yeah. What is the status of the American Indian movement in your tribe's most urgent political engagement area?
Well, we've never been much of a American Indian movement tribe, but our issues are, of course, Washington, according to their whims of what's good for us, good or bad. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But our biggest threat is missionaries. Different missionaries trying to convert us into Christianity. And to me, missionaries are like, they're nice people. They're not evil people. But what they want means death for me, as a Meskwaki. And that's our biggest threat is missionaries. Been for the past 200 years, Before, we used to have Presbyterians. Starting in 1888, we had Presbyterians, a Presbyterian mission nearby. So they kind of protected us against other denominations because they would come and the Presbyterians go, stop. These are our Indians. So it kept other missionaries out. But nobody was Presbyterian except for maybe a few dozen people. Then in 75, the Presbyterians gave up because they said for the amount of money we're spending to the amount of converts we have, it's not working out. So they left, and a whole bunch of other denominations come. Open Bible, Mormons, Scientologists, all kinds of people. So, and they're around us like vultures, you know.
Well, one more question here, Jonathan, if you don't mind. This has been very interesting. Mark Edelman asks, what is the relationship between Meskwaki, Sac, and Fox and the land in northeast Kansas? Does the tribe own a casino in White Cloud?
Well, in history, there's two tribes. There's the Meskwaki and the Sac. The French called the Meskwakis Renard. And when the British come in, they translated it into the Fox tribe. So when the Americans come in, they put the two tribes together for treaty purposes. And they created the Sac and Fox tribe. So under our treaties, that's our name, Sac and Fox tribe. But we're Meskwakis. We're the Fox, the majority Fox in Iowa. The majority Sac are in Oklahoma, known as the Sac and Fox Nation. A little mixed group of Sac and Fox live in Kansas. So those are the three political Sac and Fox tribes. But they're different. We're three different tribes. Our membership is separate. Our government is separate. You know, so they're three tribes.
Jonathan Buffalo, thank you so much. It's been a treat to have you with us today and being our program. Very educational. We thank you for taking time out of your busy day to share about your history and about your tribe. Thank you very much for doing that.
Well, I hope I did a good job. I tried to talk.
You did a great job.
I hope I didn't talk too fast, but I only had minutes to talk to people.
I'm sure you're getting I see thumbs up and claps, and you're getting all kinds of good feedback. So,
and on behalf of the tribe, I would like to say, I hope everybody is safe, everybody is healthy, and it will end. All we got to do is look at the end. And in the meantime, stay safe, wear your mask, social distance. It will be over. And thank you for having me this morning.
Thank you. Great advice. Thank you, John.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, what a great program. Thank you, program committee, for lining this up. Thanks, Liz. Next week, as a reminder, as Tammy mentioned, and as Karen mentioned, we're going to be hybrid, but we'd love to see a lot of your smiling faces in person if it works out on the stage at CY Stevens. And look out for specifics or reminders about specifics, maybe on where to park. Karen or Tammy might be able just to send out that clarification before next week's meeting. Make sure you bring your Rotary mask to that meeting as well, and make sure you bring a lunch or you're going to be hungry. And with all that being said, I think, Karen, if it's okay, we might leave the meeting open a few minutes longer just for some social time. We're getting a thumbs up for that. So if you want to hang out and chat for a bit, we'll leave it open. And we'll end our meeting today with the reciting of our 4-way test. And we're just going to do it here from memory in my little card because it's too fuzzy to bring up on the screen. So, of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you, everyone.
Hello, all
Uh-oh,
that's
the
left.
up.
You wanna? Yeah, I'm watching
There's the,
game.
what's, now we've got to get some official updates here. That was too vague of an update that Iowa is losing to Oregon. Oh my,
Oregon,
82 to
Oregon
64.
is ahead.
It's 82 Oregon, 64 Iowa with 8 minutes and 28 seconds remaining.
I assume a lot of people tuned out to go watch. So for all those that are left on, if you have anything to chat about, go ahead and unmute. Most of you are muted.
It was a dandy meeting.
That was good.
Interesting. It was interesting.
Now, it's been a number of years, but I know I've been to those August powwows over on the settlement, and they really are quite lively and colorful. And you not only have the people from the Meskwaki tribe there, but you have a number of tribes from central part of the United States. And so it's really really quite an event. And then they have little stands set up where they sell like tribal food like fry bread and so forth. So I highly recommend it. I mean, hopefully maybe they'll be on this August. Wait and see.
It was interesting what he said about the numbers of people and disease. In the book 1491, written about the Americas before the Europeans came, apparently the land was full of people. And then we came with our diseases like smallpox, a big one. And 100 years later, the population had markedly decreased.
Hmm.
In fact, Louis, isn't that how most of the Indians perished were from disease versus that were transmitted from European or those outside versus gun battle or?
Yeah, that's what I've read, but I've only read about it. But that's what I think had happened from what this said.
Interesting.
I think what's unique about the Meskwaki settlement, it's really, I believe it's the only settlement in the United States. It's not considered a reservation. It wasn't land granted by the government, but my understanding is that they sold furs and ponies to purchase the original, 800 acres. And then I don't know how it's expanded over time, whether that's been casino money or other means by a number of people on the settlement who go to Marshalltown to work or whatever. But I think it's really very unique here in Iowa that they were able to actually purchase the land back in this earlier time period, and it's really a private holding.
Yeah, he said they went from the first 80 acres to now 8,000 acres. That's what he said.
I forgot to ask, have they got Highway 30 4-lane now, all the way through the Meskwaki territories over there? I haven't been on Highway 30 East for a long time.
No, I haven't been past Marshalltown. Is it 4-lane past Marshalltown or not?
There's still spots of 2 lanes. They were making good progress. I know earlier last year, I haven't been by there much, but there was still some segments still 2-lane, but it looked like the dirt work had all been done to make it 4 all the way to, Cedar Rapids.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the road going through the settlement is now tarmac or hard surface. I know for years it had been dirt and gravel. And, the tribal council would meet and discuss whether or not to pave it or not. But if there was one dissent on hard pavement, they wouldn't do it. It had to be a total unanimous vote for it. but I'm assuming now they have hard pavement so that if you went to a tribal powwow, you'll be able to access it quite readily.
That and the casino.
Right. Go there and gamble. That's right. You do wonder how the casino is doing. I mean, there's some gambling is so pervasive now. It's available in so many places. You wonder if it's generating the revenue it used to. I believe it used to provide so much money per person on the tribe, but you wonder if it does maintain that.
Has anyone been to the casino recently? The last time I was there many years ago, it was so heavy with smoke. And I don't know that they had a no smoking area or not. I don't recall that now, but what's the status of smoking in the casino today? Do anyone know?
I do not know, but it seems like sometimes you think casino and smoking are the same word when you walk into some of those things. And we were just in Vegas with my family, so I got to introduce my son to walking along the sidewalk smelling marijuana smoke now, which is widely and openly smoked outside the casinos.
Uh-huh. I think allowing smoke and drink encourages people to open their wallets a little more at the slots. They've taken enough of my money. I don't go anymore.
It was nice to hear from Paul. Karen, do you know when Paul's coming back?
This weekend.
Oh, okay. This
He
weekend.
spent he was in Arizona as well. He spent 3 months in Arizona.
3 months.
Mhm. So he is coming back this weekend, what he said. So hopefully in April, fingers crossed, we're going to have some sort of hybrid meetings. But I have to pin down Gateway yet.
Yeah, we'll see if we can't work that out.
Will there be a limited number? How many can attend a Gateway?
Yeah, you know, the chamber had an event
I don't
there that the chamber event accommodated 80 people with 4 people per table. So there still would be probably some limitation, but I would imagine with the number of people that would still opt out, we probably would, if it worked out, we'd probably be able to open it up.
Imagine what'll help is after everybody receives their vaccination, and you're a little more willing to go out. I know I'm waiting myself, so
Yeah.
But I think that'll be a major factor.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, we hope to see some of
I
your
would think
faces
by
this
the end
week.
of April, May.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
I've got to drop off for
No, Tammy?
an appointment. So
We'll leave you
it's good to
also.
see you all.
Yep.
See you next week.
Okay. Yep.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Take care.